Hey everybody, welcome back to Rusty Wrench Restorations. This is our 8th episode of Retro Restorations, where we jump in the time machine and go back and look at older restorations I've done in the past before I started the YouTube channel. I was debating if I should do a retro restoration on this or not, because it's not really a restoration, but good old Sweaty Betty. This tractor has been with me the longest. It's been over 5 years since I've had this tractor. There was a little brief hiatus in the middle there, but we'll explain that in a minute. So yeah, over 5 years with this thing. It's Frankensteined out of basically 3 different tractors and parts from some other ones. You'll see in the upcoming photos and videos that it was literally just put together with old scrap parts. I didn't buy any new things for it. Just kind of how it is. But it's never going to get restored. It will always remain in its work clothes, and that's why she's sweaty. Sweaty, old, rusty, crusty, dirty, but it's the most dependable tractor I've ever had. The thing will start right up. Does an awesome job at plow days. It's always fun taking it to shows. People will ask, hey, you gonna try to get that running? And I'm like, it already runs, and probably the best running tractor I've got. So anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy as we go through and look at photos of where Sweaty Betty came from, all the different parts and pieces put together to make it what it is today, and yeah, part of our family. So here's the whole story and legacy of Sweaty Betty. This tractor not only is a family favorite, my wife loves this tractor, my kids love this tractor, I love this tractor, my friends and tractor collectors all seem to like it, but it's also a fan favorite on this channel. So even though it has never been restored, nor will ever be, like I mentioned, I felt that this tractor needs to be showcased on here so that you can see the history of where she came from and how she got to where she is now. So here we go, day one. This is May 9th, 2020, over 5 years ago, when I picked this tractor up from my good friend John up in Providence Forge, Virginia. Now what you're looking at here is not Sweaty Betty. The only parts in this picture that are Sweaty Betty are the front wheel and bolster assembly and the front grille. So basically the first 1.5 feet of the tractor from the front going back, that's Sweaty Betty. The rest of that tractor was kind of used for parts and eventually scrapped. Here's just the other side of it, showing that it was in pretty complete condition, but unfortunately there was just so many issues with it that it was not worth saving. Hence why we had to get a second one. So here's the front grille that you see here is in fact the grille that's on Sweaty Betty, as well as that front bolster. That front tire had to be changed. Here's a rear view. I'm not sure if I saved that steel belt pulley or not. So here it is on the side of my house, kind of starting to do a quick run through of it, seeing what was there, what was needed, and what exactly had to be done. So as you can see, this is still the same work area that I'm working in now. So we started tearing into it to see what was wrong, and this thing was just beyond repair. It was terrible. Here you can see the block. The engine was seized. I could not get the pistons to free up. And at this point, I just thought it was scrap. There's really not much I could do with it. I didn't pay John much for it, so I really didn't feel like I was at a loss with it. So this is where I got my knowledge of tearing into a Dubuque engine for the first time. Here you can see I've pulled the engine block out. You can see the trans tube, and the whole rear end of the tractor is pretty much still put together. And here is a short video of it at the scrapyard. Unfortunately, as I still have the same problem, I didn't have the room then to store parts. There were still a lot of good parts in this tractor, but for me to strip it down to store them just wasn't feasible at the time. I did know at this point that I had already secured a second John Deere MT, which is 90% of what Sweaty Betty is right now, and I would be picking that up 2 days later. So here we are at Thomas's house, and this is basically Sweaty Betty. Again, if you take that front, you can see it's got the dual wheels in the front. If you take that whole front end section and the grill that's all smashed in off, what you see from their back is Sweaty Betty that you know it today. Again, back then I didn't have the room to store things, and this whole blade assembly ended up getting thrown out. I wish I had kept it. It wasn't a Deere part. It was just something that someone had built, but it is pretty cool, and I wish I had kept it. Left his house, just stopped to get a few more pictures of it. You can tell by the rear rims, they still look just like that today. The dents on the hood, everything, still the same. Alright, so here it is in my driveway. You can see my John Deere 40 that's been restored in the background. That's going to be in an upcoming retro restorations video. But I had Sweaty here in the driveway, again, kind of just assessing and seeing what needed to be done. She didn't seem to be in as bad of condition as the original one was. It looks like there is a left fender missing, which I probably took off the other tractor also. And here in the front, you can see the grill all smashed in. So the grill and it looks like the hood. I'm not sure. I might have switched hoods. Nope, I didn't. I must have bent that back down because I know that other dent on the right. Anyway, I'm rambling. Yeah, this thing got hit pretty hard there in the front. So wasn't a big fan of the twin tires in the front. I like the single tire look, so we went with it. Alright, here we are on, let's see, this was May 17th. So this is only, 4 days after I picked it up from Thomas, and we're already tearing into this thing. I wanted to remove the front end because I knew I was going to put the narrow single front wheel on the front, and we needed to get this thing running. Again, just a picture of it up on jacks, getting that front end switched out. Here's a quick video. I'd removed the head just to make sure there wasn't any major damage inside the block. There were no engine internal components repaired or replaced. Basically just pulled the head off of this to make sure that the piston walls were clean and everything, you know, rotated and moved okay. But I basically cleaned this up, put a new head gasket on, and put the head back on. So here you can see are the two heads from both of the machines. Basically salvaging, and when I say salvage, I literally mean salvaging the best valves, springs, and keepers between the two, because really neither of them were any good. You can see some the other ones in the background there by the left tire, the 40. Just a blurry picture of, I guess, the good valve train that I'm going to use. So here it is. This is Sweaty Betty version 1. This was after I had switched out the narrow front end. You can see I put the left fender on, got the steel belt pulley in the back. And this was the first day I had it running, and that was on June 2nd. So May 17th, we started tearing it apart to get the engine components swapped out with the best pieces out of the two. New head gasket, new front end on there, and good to go. So June 2nd, here it is running for the first time. And here we are the next day on June 3rd, already starting to take things back apart again. So as I was driving it around, it kept binding on the left-hand side. Didn't matter what gear you were in, you could feel it. It would roll okay, then it would kind of bind up and pop and then roll again. So basically that bowl gear inside that left final drive was broken. So unfortunately, they're no longer in business, but Richard Brown, I used to buy so many used John Deere parts from him. Him and his company were amazing. You still see him on Facebook selling some of his wares here and there. But anyway, Richard hooked me up with a great price on a left final drive for an MT, and he had it sent out to me. Let's see, so June 3rd, I started taking this final drive apart, and on June 9th, I had the new final drive in and installed. So 6 days from saying, hey, I need a final drive, he sent it out. I think it was FedEx or UPS on a pallet. Or I guess it was a freight company. And we had it swapped out and reinstalled. So here's just some pictures of that process. And here it is with the new, or newish, final drive installed. You can see the green paint on that left final drive that does not match the rest of the tractor. And it is still like that to this day. Here we go, the inaugural drive, June 9th, finished up, ready to roll. Here she is sitting in the garage between the BO Lindemann crawler and the John Deere 40 standard tractor. Alright, so here I attempted to do a linseed oil treatment for the finish, if you will. Though it does really bring out the colors and the patina and even some of the original paint stenciling on the hood, it is just a mess. I mean, anytime you rub up or brush up against this thing, you get oil all over your clothes, so I don't recommend that. Here's the new front tire for Sweaty. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any of that older style. It always kind of reminded me of like an aircraft tire. I thought it was pretty cool. But from sitting flat for so long, it had broke the cords inside and it had a constant flat spot every time I rolled on it. So I got this one here, and it's actually a forklift tire, and it's like 10 ply and it works amazing. It's a split rim in the front, so it's really easy to put together. This is just a picture of the collection at the time. Alright, so here is Sweaty Betty's plow. If you know this tractor now, as it is on the channel, it's got a single bottom plow in the back. It is this same plow. You can see that the back left plowshare is broken off. And honestly, I didn't have, if you look at the front right now, you can see there's no front weights on the tractor. The front end was just way too light for this two bottom plow. The thing was popping wheelies all the time, and I knew that those front weights were really hard to find, and I didn't want to have a broken plowshare on the back. So I eventually ended up breaking this plow down. I think it's a MT2, and I broke it down to an MT1. I think those are the names of it, but that was how they sold them. You could break it down to either one bottom or a two bottom, and that's how she sits today, with the one bottom plow on it. This is I can't remember the name for it, but it's the correct disc for the MT. And again, having just a single wheel on the front and no weights, the disc was way too heavy for this thing. As soon as I would lift it up, it would lift it with no problem, but I was basically it was a balancing act of me on the rear tires and touching between the front tire and the discs on the ground. So I ended up selling or trading this to my buddy Brian, and I think he still has it to this day. Alright, here is Sweaty at my buddy Jake's house. This is his family's John Deere A. I think I've done a couple shorts that had this tractor featured in it. So this was the day that I learned that even though I had the two bottom plow broken down to the single bottom plow, the front end was just too light still, and I really needed to try to find a set of the front weights. So if you don't know, the front weight set for these tractors is kind of hard to find, and they're typically 600 plus for the set. I was not able to get the front weight that goes on the center of the nose. I did, however, find a set of the frame rail weights that go on each side, and that helped tremendously. This is a picture of her in the garage with my 950 John Deere. I love that tractor. And here's the front frame weights. So I got these from, I think these are up in Maryland, and one of my buddies was able to pick them up for me, and I met him to get them from him. Here they're installed. I do want to point out in this picture, if you look at above that weight underneath the air cleaner, there's a piece of pipe there, and that is going from the engine block to the bottom of the radiator. The original pipe had rusted out, so I bought a piece of tailpipe from AutoZone, and I painted it with some green and brown paint to kind of try to match the patina for the tractor. And that piece of tailpipe has been in there for the last 5 years. I'm really surprised it hasn't rotted out yet, but that's one of the little things that is new, that's kind of hidden in there to match. Here you can see the John Deere original stencil on the left side, or I'm sorry, the right side of the hood, and that still had the old seat on it there. It's got a rip in it that eventually ended up getting changed. And I guess I'll open the wound while it's here. I didn't notice it in the other pictures, but I can see it here. If you look at the right hand axle in the center there, you can see that it's been cut off. So, Sweaty Betty's my plow day tractor. I set the rear wheels to the whatever the spacing is, whatever's in the book, I forgot what it was, for plowing. And the axles stuck out about, I don't know, it was like 14 or 15 inches on each side. And it can be kind of dangerous if you're driving close to things like in and out of a garage or next to another piece of equipment or a vehicle. If you're not paying attention, that axle will grab something real quick and make a lot of damage. So I knew that I wasn't ever going to do anything other than plow with this tractor. So I cut them off. And I get hell from it all the time from my buddy Brian and Thomas. They'll never let me down for cutting those axles off. You know, it is what it is. Like I said, it's never going to leave my house, and you know, it's set up for plowing, and that's what she's going to do for the remainder of her life, you know. So anyway, here she is. Let's see, this is at Bonnie Bright's in Virginia Beach for a plow day. You can see across the street the bigger tractors are over there. Kind of had some fun. Sweaty Betty being all old and crusty. I had the bones of a vulture. It was a Halloween decoration, and it's probably hard to see in this picture, but it actually has a red Farmall tractor in its beak. So we had some fun with that with our Farmall friends. This is down at Indian Neck Farms in Hobbsville for a plow day they had down there. I can tell because that grass is amazing. This is back in Hobbsville, a different section of the field. You can see it's kind of sandy soil in Carolina. But look at that furrow wall. Yeah, it's just a really good plowing tractor. You can see here, I mean, I know this is loose soil, but just cuts a nice furrow wall. The bottom's nice and flat, rolls everything over, and just does a really good job for what it is. Alright, so farmer's table. This gentleman here, they own this restaurant. There's two restaurants, one in Newport News, and I think the other one's out by Suffolk. I had put Sweaty Betty up for sale. I know, I couldn't believe it. This is September of 22, so I had it for about 2.5 years, and I had put it up for sale, and I think I had some other plow day tractors, and I was like, I don't need a bunch of them, and you know, I've used this one a bunch, let me get something different. So he wanted the tractor to park out in front of his restaurant, just as kind of a you know, crowd bringer in. Hey, look at that old tractor, let's go check out this place and eat. So I sold him the tractor September 3rd of 22, and it sat there for almost 1.5 years, and I just missed it. I couldn't believe I got rid of it. My kids were mad, my wife was mad, so I contacted him and I'm like, I gotta buy that tractor back. And not that he was being mean about it, but he would not sell me the tractor back. But he did say that if I found him another tractor that was running and driving that he liked, that I could trade him. So I was on a mission at that point to try to find another tractor that was running, driving, that he would want in front of his restaurant, and that would not break the bank for me to try to get Sweaty Betty back. So here she is, 1.5 years later. It had been sitting out in the sun. The fit and finish is not looking too good. Tires are starting to go down. That left rear was completely flat. The battery was completely dead, but the fuel that was in the tank and the carburetor, it started right up. I put a new battery in it. I brought my air compressor with me, put some air in the tire, and she started right up and loaded her on my trailer. So here's a picture of Sweaty about to get put on my trailer, and that's a John Deere 1010 that I had purchased at some point, used for a family hayride one winter, and then ended up trading to get Sweaty Betty back. So I think he got the better deal as value-wise anyway, but I was just glad to get Sweaty Betty back. Here's the name badge I have on it for tractor shows, and of course normally they're green and yellow, but I had to do brown because of her custom non-paint job. Alright, here's the day Sweaty got some new shoes. Those rear tires you see on there were the original tires. I've never felt rubber that hard before, so didn't have any issues with, really leaking down, except for that year and a half that it sat out there in front of the restaurant. But I didn't want to be at a plow day or a show and have them decide to give out. So we threw down, and we threw down good, because those are a rare size and they're not cheap. I want to say it was like 11 or 1600, one of the two, for the two rear tires and tubes. All right, here she is at a plow day. This is at Edenton, North Carolina, at one of the most recent plow days. And just some videos of me using Sweaty Betty. So like I said, this is an heirloom tractor. It's never going anywhere, and I know there's a lot of fans that are always asking about it, and sometimes people like to play a couple games. Jason, I know you're out there. Hey, I saw Sweaty Betty in the background. So even though I'm doing a video on something else, they like to always be on the lookout for where's Sweaty, almost like a Where's Waldo kind of game. Alright everybody, hopefully you enjoyed that episode of Retro Restorations, to see where Sweaty Betty came from, how she was put together with all the different parts and pieces, and has endured the test of time. That doesn't happen around here. As you know, I change through tractors and equipment quick. Even 5 months is a long time, let alone over 5 years. So like I said, we've really put nothing new on this tractor except for, I think, plugs and wires, rotor and cap, obviously fluids, and new tires all around. But everything else is as is. Oh, we did do a seat, but it's been 5 years for that. But yeah, just super awesome, dependable tractor. Lots of fun to drive. Never lets me down. So I also got this. This is from this guy Joey that I know makes these cool custom Hot Wheels packs. So just plexiglass, but had one made of Sweaty Betty. Has the name on there, Sweaty Betty, 1950 John Deere Model MT. It's pretty cool. So got all the original books, brochures, everything. But like I said, this is going to be an heirloom tractor. The day comes I end up selling all this stuff off, we're still going to keep this one, even if it ends up just being yard art out in the front to put some pumpkins around at Halloween. But I don't think that'll be the case. I think if anything ever happens mechanically, we'll revive it and let her continue to live on for many, many more decades. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this segment of Retro Restorations. Tune in every Wednesday for the foreseeing few months until we get through all these and get caught up. So check out the playlist for it. There's 7 other videos ahead of this one of other machines that we've restored in the past. So check them out.